So my story is called Ho JAMALO. It's a title of a very popular Sindhi song, which means it's a welcome song. It means "Oh beautiful one," and it's a really apt title, I think, because a lot of what my story is about is reclaiming our history and our heritage and welcoming back what we've lost because of colonialism, the ideas of white supremacy, particularly as a child of immigrants, what we've lost. I'm based in New York, and we've recently elected a mayor by the name of Zoran Kwame Mamdani, whose family's from, or part of his family is from East Africa, which is where my family's from. My family's from Tanzania, his is from Kenya and Uganda. And, to watch him switch languages in the way that I hear my grandparents, or I heard my grandparents and my parents do, speaking seven languages, and then coming to America and being told if you speak more than one language, you're an ignorant fool. Trying to reclaim the idea that no, actually speaking multiple languages, eating different types of food, appreciating color and vibrancy is part of who we are. So Hojamalo is the idea of welcoming back who we are, what's been lost to this idea of colonialism and white supremacy.
Great. You can definitely tell the inspiration behind the story, when reading it. Um, Tell us about the aspirational world you were trying to create.
Yeah. So part of this idea of recovering who we are is in and playing with language. For me, language is very, very important. The way sounds taste in our mouth, and it sounds like I'm mixing metaphor, but I'm not, because I think for me, language has flavor. And we use different languages when we have access to different languages in different ways, right? I mean, I'm sure there are many children of immigrants who are like, I only know this language because that's the language my mother or my father or my caretaker would yell at me in, or this was the language they would use when we were talking about food, right? So there's a particular memory, a particular nostalgia, a particular taste in our mouth, a particular resonance in our ears, and so the story, the way I've tried to build it, is a story where we're not limiting ourselves to one language. We're using languages that feel appropriate to express particular ideas. So when we want to say love, it means something particular. When we say ishq, it means something particular. When we say pyar, it means something particular. Um, when we say "aime," the French "aimer," it means something particular. And so that we are comfortable switching languages and using languages. And for me, it's also the way the languages look. So because this is a written short story, I've also played with different scripts. So I bounce between Devanagari scripts and Persian-Arabic, Urdu, Sindhi scripts, and Cyrillic makes a little bit of an appearance in there. But really trying to get the idea that visual qualities and oral qualities are such an important part of language. This world I'm trying to build is this world where we've reclaimed who we are through the way we express ourselves. And the way I felt that was most appropriate in a written story was through the use of languages to generate a new type of language. I play a little bit with grammar as well and thinking about singular they and how we would conjugate that in different languages. So for me, it was a lot of fun. I think a lot about Ngugi Thiongo and the decolonization of language. I think about Chinua Achebe and what he did in his work. Um, I think also a lot about Audre Lorde coming in here, James Baldwin. So obviously, there's a lot of um, Black radical tradition, but also an African radical tradition that's trying to reclaim who we are. And I'm trying to bring that in. What does that look like in practice?
And it's definitely a very rich world you've created.
Which is funny because this world, it's really just a family. It's four people. It's the entire world. It's a living room. Is the entire world are the main characters that drive this, and then we hear about their memories, and that I think helps starts building out the world. So I'm really grateful for that opportunity to play in that very small space and then making it larger.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I definitely feel the weight of the world in your story. It's really nice a nice read. Um, what excites you most about Muslim Futures, and why did you wanna collaborate on the project?
The idea of Muslim futures, being fascinated with ideas of Afrofuturism and African futurism, and realizing that a lot of these futurist projects do take religion seriously, but what does it mean to put religion at the center of a futurist conversation? Um, and here I think it's really important that we call it Muslim futures, not Islamic futures or Islam futures, because it's about who we as what the work we as people are doing. And I think knowing the people who've contributed and having read their stories now, to work with you and Kareem from the original pitch, to say what is possible for us as a people. We're mostly North America centered in this volume, but we are coming from very different, places in the world or backgrounds in the world. Was just so joyous, right? And I think that's the thing that really animated me is how do we create joy in the future, knowing that this moment is not necessarily very joyous and the immediate future may not be very joyous. How do we lean into joy and futures that are generative of circles of empathy and community that we want to build? And what does that look like so differently for all of us? And still, how do we create something so beautiful out of that?
What are you hoping readers take out of your story?
I wish I had a good short answer to that because I think art, once you've created the art, it's a little bit out of your hands as to what the readers take out of it. But I hope it's an invitation to think about what is ours that we may have been asked to give up, and what can we reclaim? What can we make own our? What can we make our own again? And really, I think it's that is the invitation to claiming who we are without feeling like we need to perform for somebody else's gaze. um, that we have value, intrinsic value in our own right. And how do we amplify that and honor that, both for our ancestors and our descendants, and obviously for ourselves?
And that leads me to my final question is why do you think stories about aspirational Muslim futures are important or necessary in the current moment?
One of the things that I think I've really learned through this process and engaging with a variety of thinkers and writers and artists is that we've never been able to, and it's become urgently apparent that we can no longer rely on systems as they exist to lead to our liberation. And what a futurist project is what does our liberation look like? And then work backwards from there. To create the systems, not to work within our systems, but to create the systems that are constructive, that are um, community building and community oriented, and that re-bridge and reapply our obligations to one another. There's a term we use in Muslim thought, akhlaq. It's often translated as ethics, but it's related to this term of khalaqa or creation. So God is al khaliq, the creator. And I tend to think of it as that we can't think about ethics as an abstract, but it's the practical obligation of what we owe one another because we are creation. We are God's creation. And so for me, this is a philosophical practice or practical philosophy, however you want to phrase it, but it is not abstracted from our real positions in the world. And it has to be about what our relationships are to one another. What's the relationality we want to build to create that more just future and that more just peace? And that doesn't happen as individuals. And so for me, the futurism work is a recommitment to me to be a Muslim, to say, how do we rebuild that relationality? How do we rebuild that community for the betterment of all and for all of creation?
I like that a lot.